Alright, what's going on, folks? So I've got a backpacking trip coming up this weekend. So I've got most of my gear packed up and ready. Tonight I'm kind of finishing the last of it, but I want to show you how I ration food for a group of 5 backpackers for a weekend trip. I've done this several times and I found a way that's really efficient, so I want to show you kind of how I set it all up. But first, crack yourself a cold one because it's going to take a minute. Alright, so I've already gathered my materials, so the first thing I'm going to do is sort everything by meal. So the first thing we got is in this box right here, so it's going to be a little bit of an unboxing video. Open this joker up. So in here, we've got a whole bunch of different Mountain House meals. So this one is beef stroganoff and noodles. That one works pretty good. It tastes good. Now all of these are pretty high in sodium, so if you're worried about that, it might not be a good option. But these are incredibly convenient, and I've found that you can kind of, when you look at the nutrition facts and it talks about serving size, that's all just to get the numbers to a point where it makes sense to fit in with health regulations and whatnot. But one packet of this is generally a meal for one person. The first backpacking trip where I used these, I went off of the serving size and we were all still a bit hungry after that. So one pack is one meal for one person, just normal sized person. If you know you eat a whole lot, you might want to plan some extra stuff, or if you know you don't eat much, you probably still want to go with a whole one per person just because you're going to eat more on a backpacking trip. So I buy the Pro Pack packages. What's really nice about these is it's got like a thermal liner in there and then a Ziploc seal at the top. So you can actually pour the hot water directly in this pack, zip it, and then just basically shake it up to mix it all up. So you don't even need a bowl. So I'm really trying to be incredibly efficient to the point that I'm not even bringing a bowl with me on this trip because I'm using these for dinner. So we've got the beef stroganoff, but what else is in here? Hopefully they didn't send me only beef stroganoff because I ordered other stuff. Here we go. So that's lasagna. They're all the same color, which is kind of confusing. Chicken teriyaki, but you get the idea. So I use the Pro Pack meals. That's one per person, and that's gonna be all my dinners. So we got 5 people, so 10 of these. I ordered a couple extras, but that's just gonna be for me for other events and things like that. But we'll have 10 of those for dinner for the whole crew. Next, we'll slide over here to this next box, and this is gonna be lunch. And I've done a video about these before, but we're just using standard GI MREs. So this one is, what is it, Asian style beef strip with vegetables. So basically beef stir fry. MREs aren't gonna be the lightest choice. It's kind of heavy, but what's really nice is there's nothing dehydrated here, nothing you have to cook, nothing you have to mix up, and it's just really efficient to prepare. So you can get a hot meal in the middle of the day without even needing to boil water. So I'm saving weight in a lot of other places, so I think I can afford this weight for the convenience. What's also nice about the MRE is you've got your toilet paper in there, gum, coffee, Kool-Aid, all that stuff is already in here. So if you were gonna pack that on the trip, you've already got it inside of here, so you don't need to double up. Something that's also gonna be nice is every MRE has a plastic spoon in there. We jokingly called it an entrenching tool on one trip, but it's got a spoon in there, and I know that on this trip, lunch is going to be the first meal, so I can just save that spoon and not throw it away and keep reusing it, so I don't have to pack a spoon. So I save myself a bowl over here, and I'm saving myself a spoon. So I don't even need to bring a personal mess kit. How cool is that? So again, 2 days, 5 people, 10 MREs. So dinner is already pre-portioned. Lunch is really already pre-portioned. Breakfast is kind of the only thing we have to kit together. So I've got a whole bunch of different stuff, and the idea is that this is all going to be divvied up into individual portions. So each person will have one meal per bag, and that's going to all go in here. Now I like to use these hefty freezer bags just because they're a little bit more durable, and you can kind of pack a little bit more stuff in them, and you're not going to tear them all. And because basically if you pack a bag but it fails, that's just a complete waste of space. So you might as well pack something more durable. So everything is going to go in here per person per meal, and then these little zipper bags are going to be used for individual portions. Now I like to use the square snack bags just because it's a little bit easier to get in and out of them. You can pack stuff in them, and you don't necessarily have to worry about ripping the bag up. Sometimes those little like long skinny rectangles, we call them hot dog style bags, it's a little bit difficult to fit stuff in them. So for breakfast, typically to be incredibly efficient, I like to use oatmeal just because it takes up very little space, packs down, and it tastes all right, and it's just really easy to use. You gotta heat up a little bit of water, but then you're ready to go. 3 out of the 5 guys on this trip don't like oatmeal, so we're doing these Kind bars instead. Takes up a little bit more space, but it's kind of the same thing. It's like an oatmeal granola bar type thing with some chocolate chips and goodies baked in. So that'll take up a little bit more space, but not bad. And these things actually are pretty healthy and taste good. So for breakfast, we've got the Kind bars, some just organic gummy bear type of fruit snack type of things, just to have something sweet to go along with breakfast. So we got Kind bars, the fruit snacks. We got Walmart brand trail mix, aka GORP, which is good old raisins and peanuts. Coffee. Now here, I know only 3 of the 5 guys like coffee times 2 days, so that's a 6-pack. That works out perfect. And then we've got some beef jerky, so you get some protein and salt in your system in the morning. Now I actually did a video on how I make beef jerky, so I'll put a link in here somewhere if you want to learn how I make that. I like to make my own versus buying it in the store just because it tastes good and I know what's in it. So the next part is kind of to take all this and assemble it into individual meal kits so that breakfast is taken care of. So I just got all the beef jerky packed up into individual little baggies. And confession, when I'm making beef jerky and I know it's gonna be for breakfast on a hiking trip, I actually make the beef jerky just a little bit saltier so that everybody tends to drink more water at breakfast. So everybody has more water in them at the beginning of the day and nobody gets dehydrated through the day. So yeah, that's a bit strange and unusual. And I think I made this batch a little bit too salty, but it still tastes good, but it's pretty salty. But it'll work, it'll work. All right, so I pretty much have everything sorted out. So all the individual components of breakfast go in their breakfast bag, and then I have those divided up and put into larger bags per person. So every person has their own bag, and then in that bigger bag, there's a bag for each meal, whether that's the breakfast bag, the MRE, or the Mountain House meal. So it's easy, it's organized, it's simple. Everybody knows what's theirs, and you don't have to rummage through your bag to find, you know, what's what for each meal. Another thing I really like about this is how efficient it is for preparation. Because we're doing an MRE for lunch and a Mountain House meal for dinner, really the only cooking element we need is just boiled water in the evenings. So after camp is set up, after everything's unpacked, during the day you just pull out the MRE, good to go. But because all we need is boiled water, basically the only thing we need is a very small stove and just one aluminum pot to heat water. And because we're only doing that twice, we can pretty much power the entire thing on one small bottle of fuel. So this is incredibly efficient. We basically need to fill a pot with water twice, and the water we're not even carrying with us. We're pumping that from a stream. So it works out really, really well. So these are the individual meal bags. And let's just weigh one of these just to get a general idea. So turn this guy on. Let it zero out for a second here. Okay. So this is one person's entire rations for the entire trip. 4 pounds, 1 ounce. And that's including the MREs, which are kind of heavy. So that's, in this bag is lunch for the first day, dinner, or lunch for the first day, which is an MRE, dinner for the first day, which is a Mountain House meal, breakfast for the second day, which is that breakfast bag, lunch for the second day, which is an MRE, dinner for the second day, which is a Mountain House meal, and breakfast for the third day, which is the breakfast bag. So all that in 4 pounds, and you don't need a bowl or utensils or anything. That's incredibly efficient. So right now I've kind of got it sorted. Those are the non-coffee people, weirdos, and the coffee people over here, just so I have those organized and we don't have to trade anything back and forth except MREs if somebody wants to swap an MRE with somebody else. So let's just dig open one of these just to show. So this is like my meal bag, for example. So I get this, I pull it out, and that's lasagna, Mountain House meal, so that'll be one dinner. I've got an MRE, if I can get a hold of it here. So that'll be one lunch. Beef patty, jalapeno pepper jack, whatever. Okay, this is beef stroganoff, that'll be another one of my dinners. Here's the other MRE that will be lunch. So that's Asian style beef strip with vegetables. That's the one we looked at earlier, actually. So that's breakfast and dinner in that pile. Or sorry, lunch and dinner in that pile. And then these are the breakfast bags I just made. So let's tear open one of those just to show everything in there. So in each breakfast bag, I have coffee, aka fuel that gets me running for the rest of the day. My little fruity bits, little gummy snacks. The beef jerky, so that's, I think I put 11 or 12 small little strips of beef jerky in each bag. I've got my good old raisins and peanuts with M&Ms, and that's 2/3 a cup in each nut sack. And then I've got that Kind bar. So all that together is a pretty decent breakfast with definitely a lot of protein and a lot of calories to get my day started. So after several years of backpacking and trying it slightly different each time, the last couple times I've pretty much standardized on this method because it's incredibly efficient, it's easy to pack, it's high in protein, it minimizes the amount of stuff you need to carry both in food but also in additional accessories, plates, spoons, cooking pots, cooking fuel, all that. So it tends to work really, really well, and for a 3-day trek, I think it'll be just perfect, especially for 5 guys when we're not wanting to do a whole bunch of cooking. It'll work out great. So if you have another method you like, I think this is about the most efficient method there is with minimal cooking. If you wanted to do more cooking, there might be ways to get it lighter, bringing rice and stuff like that. But if you have a method that you really think is more efficient than this, or you think is really efficient or just really good, go ahead and comment below. I want to hear kind of what other people use, but this method has worked really well for me recently, and I think it'll really help to make this backpacking trip this weekend into a great one. Until next time, stay safe, be free, and never stop seeking adventure.